गिरिवरधारी जय गोपी जन वल्लभ जय गिरिवरधारी जय गिरिवरधारी यशोदानंदन जय व्रजनंदन यमुना तीरावनचारी जय कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधव जय कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधव जय कुंज बिहारी हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे जय जगन्नाथ जय बलदेव जय सुभद्रा माई सुदर्शना जय जगन्नाथ जय बलदेव जय सुभद्रा माई सुदर्शना जगन्नाथ स्वामी नयन पथगामी नयन पथगामी भवतु मे जगन्नाथ स्वामी नयन पथगामी नयन पथगामी भवतु मे जय प्रभुपाद जय प्रभुपाद जय प्रभुपाद शील प्रभुपाद जय प्रभुपाद जय प्रभुपाद जय प्रभुपाद स्वामी शील प्रभुपाद पतित पावन जय प्रभुपाद स्वामी शील प्रभुपाद जय प्रभुपाद जय प्रभुपाद शील प्रभुपाद जय श्री प्रभुपाद की जय। हरे कृष्णा डिवोटीज, I welcome to this 8 o'clock Srimad Bhagavatam class. Hare Krishna. So today I have been instructed to discuss on 27 chapter, 22nd and 23rd shloka of third canto. So we'll shortly start discussing that. I'm just projecting the shlokas on the screen. Hare Krishna. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswati Vyasam Tadyo Jayamunirate Nashtaprayashu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Nashtiki Om Ajnanatirmirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshuranmilitamena Tasmai Sri Guruve Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobishtam Sthapitamena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamyam Dadati Swapadantikam He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishavanu Suti Devi Pranamami Hari Pancha Kalpataru Dasya Krupa Sindhu Devacha Patitanam Pavanepyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhaktarindam Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Krishna. I'm just projecting the shlokas. Okay, so this is 22nd shloka of 27th chapter. Jnanena dushta tattvena vairagyena bali yasa tapta yuktena yogena tivrena atma samadhina. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. Jnanena, in knowledge, dushta tattvena, with vision of absolute truth. Vairagyena, with renunciation. Baliyasa, very strong. Tapasa yuktena, by engagement in austerity. Yogena, by mystic yoga. Tivrena, firmly fixed. Atma samadhina, by self-absorption. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. This devotional service has to be performed strongly in perfect knowledge and with transcendental vision. One must be strongly renounced and must engage in austerity and perform mystic yoga in order to be firmly fixed in self-absorption. Purport. Devotional service in Krishna consciousness cannot be performed blindly due to material, emotion, or mental concoction. It is specifically mentioned here that one has to perform devotional service in full knowledge by visualizing the absolute truth. We can understand about absolute truth by evolving transcendental knowledge, and result of such transcendental knowledge will be manifested by renunciation. That renunciation is not temporary or artificial, but is very strong. It is said that development of Krishna consciousness is exhibited by proportionate material detachment or vairagya. If one does not separate himself from material enjoyment, it is to be understood that he is not advancing in Krishna consciousness. Renunciation in Krishna consciousness is so strong that it cannot be deviated by any attractive illusion. One has to perform devotional service in full tapasya austerity. One should fast on 2 Ekadasi days, which fall on the 11th day of waxing and waning moon, and on the birthdays of Krishna, Lord Rama, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. There are many such fasting days. Yogena means by controlling the senses and mind. Yoga Indriya Samyaha. Yogena means implies that one is seriously absorbed in self and is able by development and knowledge to understand his constitutional position in relationship with super self. In this way, one becomes fixed in devotional service, and his faith cannot be shaken by any material allurement. So there are 2 shlokas we are going to cover today. I am going through next shloka also. Just give me 2 minutes. This is 23rd shloka of 27th chapter. Prakriti frashyasya dayamana ranarisham tiro bhavitri shanaikarya agnera yonir ivandrini. Translation. Prakriti, the influence of material nature, Purushasya, of the living entity, Iha, here, Dehamana, being consumed, two, but, Ahanisham, day and night, Tirabhavitri, disappearing, Shanakayi, gradually, Agner, of the fire, Yoni, the cause of appearance, Eva, adds, Aranihi, wooden sticks. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. The influence of material nature has covered the living entity, and thus it is as if the living entity were always in blazing fire. But by process of seriously discharging devotional service, this influence can be removed, just as wooden sticks which cause a fire are themselves consumed by it. Fire is covered in wooden sticks, and when circumstances are favorable, the fire is ignited. But the wooden sticks, which are the cause of fire, are also consumed by the fire if it is properly dealt with. Similarly, the living entity's conditional life of material existence is due to his desire to lord it over material nature and due to his envy of Supreme Lord. Thus, his main diseases are that he wants to be one with Supreme Lord or he wants to become Lord of material nature. The karmists try to utilize the resources of material nature and thus become its Lord and enjoy self gratification. And the Gyanis, the salvationists, who are become frustrated in enjoying the material resources, want to become one with Supreme Personality of Godhead or merge into impersonal equality. These two diseases are due to material contamination. Material contamination can be consumed by devotional service because in devotional service, these two diseases, namely the desire to lord it, material nature, and the desire to become one with Supreme Lord, are absent. Therefore, the cause of material existence is at once consumed by careful discharge of devotional service in Krishna consciousness. A devotee in full Krishna consciousness appears superficially to be great karmi, always working, but the inner significance of devotees' activities is that they are meant for the satisfaction of Supreme Lord. This is called bhakti or devotional service. Arjuna was apparently a fighter, but when by his fighting he satisfied the senses of Lord, he became a devotee. Since devotee also engages in philosophical research to understand the Supreme Person as his activities may thus appear to be like those of mental speculator, but actually he is trying to understand spiritual nature and transcendental activities. Thus, although the tendency for philosophical speculation exists, the material effects of fruitive activities and empiric speculation do not, because these activities mean for Supreme Personality of God. Hare Krishna. Jai Sri Prabhupada ki jai. So we'll discuss both slokas. I'm just pulling out the pictures. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishnavastaya Bhutale Srimad Jai Pataka Swaminiti Namine Namo Acharya Padaya Nitai Krupa Padayane Gaurapata Damadaya Nagragrama Tarine Namo Vishnupadaya Krishnavastaya Bhutale Srimad Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pacharina Nirvisheshanavadi Pasatya Deshatarine Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gauravaktarunda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Okay, so welcome again all devotees. So we'll continue the discussion now. Okay, so this is the context. This shloka basically Lord Kapila is, explaining his mother Devoti. She is very exalted lady and she is very high level of devotee. But of course, she is inquiring a lot of important aspects. So in this particular two shlokas, Lord Kapila is explaining how actually we should, come out of material, blazing fire of material nature. So just one shloka before this, that is 21st shloka, Lord Kapila starts speaking on explaining how one should come out of this, miseries of material life. So this is in context to Mother Devotee's question. She specifically asking how to come out of this blazing fire of material nature and especially the three gunas, because three gunas are very powerful. It's very difficult to surpass the three gunas. So just to recap, so like three gunas are basically that's also that comes at the start of creation, and of course material creation is there, Mahat Tattva is there. I'm not getting into too much detail, but just to put it in context. So the whole the whole thing here is basically the Mahat Tattva is there, material nature is there, soul is there, and of course Lord creates this material universe for this souls, those souls which want to lord it over material nature and assume that they are sort of say that, okay, we are gods. We don't, believe into authority of God. These sort of rebellion souls are actually sent to this material world. That's a whole, a discussion point of creation of material nature is the basically third canto. And this is the conversation between Maitreya Muni and Vidura. And Maitreya Muni is explaining so many things. So in that context, Kapil Muni's, appearance also has come. And he's explaining his mother Devahuti about all this material nature, purpose of this. He's basically explaining Sankhya philosophy. So Sankhya philosophy means basically elementary knowledge. But elementary knowledge means it's not just speculative Sankhya philosophy, which generally, we have heard sometimes that, okay, there is atheistic Sankhya philosophy, but Kapila Muni is not explaining about atheistic Sankhya. He's talking about the theistic or devotional service-based Sankhya philosophy, which studies the nature, material elements, 24 elements of material nature. And not only studies those material nature, it studies our position in this material nature and our constitutional position, which is not in this material nature, which is basically as a servant of God, servant of Lord. And that is what we need to understand, and slowly by devotional service. So how Sankhya philosophy can be used for developing our devotional service is the whole theme of, Sankhya Yoga that is explained by Lord Kapila. That's the purpose. And in that context, Mother Devahuti is asking, okay, this is a material nature. Material living entities are suffering this material nature by the blazing fire. That's the, 2 verses talks about. So how to get rid of this? It's very, very difficult. So then Lord Kapila explains that this is the way it should be done. So basically, the first shloka says, just a minute, give me 2 minutes. I'm just again rereading that shloka. So translation says that this devotional service has to be performed strongly in perfect knowledge and with transcendental vision. One must be strongly renounced and must engage in austerity and perform mystic yoga in order to be firmly fixed in self-absorption. So Prabhupada translates here devotional service clearly, although this particular verse doesn't mention bhakti as such, but the earlier shloka is very clear. Earlier shloka says that, I'm just reading that shloka also. Sri Bhagavan Ovacha means Lord Kapila says, Animitta nimittena swadharmana malatmana tivraya mayi bhaktya cha sruta samvruttaya chiram. So bhaktya. So Lord Kapila says, by bhakti yoga, by bhakti, you can come out of this material nature. And that's a continuation in this shloka, that this bhakti, that's why Prabhupada translates, this bhakti has to be executed by jnanena dushtatattvena vairagyena balyasa tapoyuktena yogena tivrena atma samadhina. Means this devotional service has to be performed strongly in perfect knowledge and with transcendental vision. One must be strongly renounced and must engage in austerity and perform mystic yoga in order to be firmly fixed in self-absorption. Clear? So basically, Lord Kapila is saying that this bhakti has to be performed with perfect knowledge. Now, one may say, okay, why knowledge is really required? Okay, we will do bhakti. We'll directly, worship Lord. We'll continue chanting. Why jnanena vairagyena is required? Okay, so yes, that's true. One sense, even though we just chant, continue chanting, we will come to that state, no doubt about it. But thing is that in our current status of life, we are so fallen, we are so disturbed by material modes of nature. Okay, it will take a lot of time. So if you accompany your devotional service is a target. Our goal is devotional service. Knowledge per se is not our final goal. It's a devotional service. Ultimately, all sort of knowledge, all types of knowledge has to culminate into bhakti. That's true. But if there is a knowledge, if there is a vairagyena, yogena means controlling mind and senses. So if you control your mind and senses, by yoga means connecting with Lord. That's one definition. Secondly, is yoga. The purpose of yoga is to control mind and senses. And why you want to control mind and senses? To ultimately get attached to Lord. Okay, so these are all yogena, knowledge, renunciation. These are the activities, or these are the qualities one should acquire to make ourselves progress fast in devotional. So all these are definitely going to complement us. So if we are talking about knowledge, so knowledge about what? Knowledge. So Prabhupada has given so much. So why Prabhupada has given so much knowledge? He has given volumes of books, and he's writing purport. He's writing, a lot of conversations. He's giving lectures. He's reaching to various personalities, in social, life also. So many personalities reaching. A lot of materialistic people also reaching. A lot of so-called spiritualists. All sort of people he are reaching, and he's giving knowledge. Why? Because ultimately he wants us to take to bhakti. But that will be done if you develop the knowledge about Lord, if you develop the knowledge about devotees, if you develop knowledge about Lord's activities, if you develop knowledge about this material world, what is our position in this material world, who are the incarnations of Lord, what is the purpose of each incarnation. The whole position of living entity in material world vis-a-vis his original constitutional position, and why we are suffering, how we should go back to our original constitutional position. What is what is our constitutional position? Basically, it's a servant of Lord. Okay, so all this we should know. We should know their relation. We should know what is the purpose of devotion also. At the end of the day, we are devotees, so we have to culminate devotion. But if we develop this knowledge, of course, when we say knowledge, generally we may misunderstand. Knowledge means generally we understand mental speculation. That's the way we see in material world, or material education also. Generally, we adopt path of material speculation in knowledge. If you see our material world nowadays, material science, modern material science, it more or less depends on sort of mental speculation. If it will be like that, that will be like this. Then all speculation, theory, so-called theory, some empiric this thing, and then we try to build some knowledge. But that's not the way spiritual knowledge is taken. So when Prabhupada writes, or when this shloka refers knowledge, it doesn't mean this sort of speculative knowledge. It doesn't depend on mental speculation. It depends on the authentic parampara-based knowledge. But knowledge is important. Why? Because it will catalyze, or it will make our progress in bhakti very fast. Without knowledge also we may progress, but it may be very slow. We may fall down also. Because if you don't know why we should worship Lord, what is your constitutional position, what is the position of devotees, if that knowledge is fundamental knowledge is not there, we may fall down. Okay, so it's important. Of course, if you have got very strong desire and if you are really surrendered, only chanting will take you. Of course, chanting will give you knowledge. Lord gives that knowledge from within. So knowledge may come from within, from the Lord, because Lord is our Chaitya Guru. Knowledge will come from our Guru, or parampara, Shiksha Guru, Diksha Guru. That's very important. It has to come from parampara. And of course, scriptures are given. Guru, Shastra, Sadhu. All sort of whole setup is there for us to give knowledge. And we should take advantage of this knowledge to quickly progress on the path of bhakti. That's the whole, purpose of knowledge. Okay. So Lord Kapila is giving the Sankhya philosophy, is giving knowledge. Why? Because he wants to enlightenment the living entities who are suffering this material world. And knowledge definitely makes us very strong basis, and we can actually do our bhakti, or do our devotion in a very more convincing and more stronger way. So it will make us very strong. So that is very important. That's this shloka is telling. Prabhupada writes. So it really one has to perform devotional service in full knowledge by visualizing absolute truth. So Prabhupada is right. We should talk about, we should discuss about, we should understand absolute truth. Who is absolute truth? Lord Krishna. How he is absolute truth? Okay. So we can understand about absolute truth by evolving transcendental knowledge, and result of such transcendental knowledge will be manifested by renunciation. Now another word come, another important aspect of renunciation. Renunciation is not temporary or artificial, but it is very strong. So what is renunciation? So let's understand that. Nirasakti. Reverse of nirasakti, asakti. or attachment. Renunciation, attachment, reverse. So currently we are attached to our body. Currently we are attached to our body-related activities, body-related paraphernalia, all sort of whole setup. We are attached to all this. Why we are attached to? Because that is through the influence of three gunas. Because we associate with three gunas and we get contaminated. So we being material nature is not a real cause of attachment. That's not an issue. Material nature is just a non-living thing. It's just there. But the attachment is through the three gunas, because we get contaminated with three gunas, sattva, raja, tama. And under the influence of three gunas, we keep, continue our attachment. We keep doing activities, karmas, then reactions come, and we do actions to counteract reactions. More reactions come. We get attached to good thing. We get disturbed by bad thing, and perennially, via mind, the medium of mind, we are attached. So mind is the thing which will bind us to this material world. Mind is the reservoir of all those, karmas, reactions, feeling, all those things. Basically impressions. And we keep counteracting those mind things, and we keep doing activities, and it generate more reaction, and we remain peripherally in this material world. That is due to attachment to the material. Why we are attached? Due to false ego. And false ego tells us that I am my body. I am this body. But actually we are not this body, we are soul. But then due to false ego, mind, and all these things, we remains in this material world. So if we remain attached to these so-called ups and downs, or so-called happiness, so-called distress of this material world, will not be able to focus on Lord's devotional service. So there is one sloka, beautiful sloka in Bhagavad Gita, Trigunna Visha Veda, next Trigunna Bhavarjuna. Nidando Nitya Sattvasto Niryoga Kshema Atmavan. Lord Krishna is telling Arjuna that this material world is made up of three gunas. And he said, Vedas at a broad level deals with these three gunas, but you come out of this so-called, three gunas, and the transactions related to three gunas, come out of this. Naistra Gunna means come out of this. Don't get too much attached to this so-called, flowery language of Vedas, karma kandas, upasana kanda, or, dhyana kanda. You come out of all this and get to your original position of Atman, means at a transcendental loving service of Lord. You nirdandva means you don't get attached to the dvandva. Dvandva means duality. Happiness, distress. One time we'll be happy, one time we'll be distressed. Hot, cold. So we always get disturbed by hot, cold, this sort of thing. And there will be sometime, man, apaman. There will be some, respect given to you. Sometime you'll be insulted. So man, apaman. So all that. So there is always positive, negative, so-called. And we remain attached to this. Lord Krishna, you come out of this. And that is happening. This duality is coming through three modes of material nature and your interaction, your mind's interaction. And you are attached to mind, so you are also there. And we remain peripherally, into this. But that's not the way. And you cannot counteract the influence of this. You have to actually come out of this. You have to get detached from all this. We should say, no, I'm not related to this. All these things are, these are all reactions of my karma, but I don't want to get attached to it. So once you start that detachment, that has to be developed. Detachment has to be developed by reading scriptures, by chanting. So chanting is the key. So if you continue chanting, continue reading, you will get more knowledge. Your quality of chanting will increase. Then you will develop the detachment, then further chanting. And ultimately our goal is to have offenseless chanting and surrender to Lord. So that's the devotional service, right? So the renunciation also important. So why these things are mentioned? And yoga also, I explained. Yoga means it's a austerity of mind, body. You have to control the senses. You have to control the mind. If your senses and mind remains uncontrolled, will not be able to focus on even chanting or even our whole devotional service. We will remain attached. Actually, we should remain attached to Lord. but currently we are remain attached to material world. So once you start getting attached to Lord, of course, slowly this detachment will start. So the whole, it's a cycle. So the whole basic purpose is we should start getting surrender to Lord. We should start getting attached ourselves to Lord. We should follow the bhakti, and slowly you will develop detachment. That is one part, definitely. But second part is we also should make conscious effort to remain detached, to reduce our attachment to material. Conscious effort is required. It is true that bhakti will make you detach, definitely. Prabhupada writes. So that is definitely. But we should not be, sort of non-vigilant. We should not be, careless in, allowing ourselves, in terms of allowing ourselves getting engaged into so many, material state. We should be careful. There has to be, that's why there are regulative principles. The regulative principles are study of mind and body. Four regulative principles and some more regulative principles. Austerity of mind. Prabhupada writes in this sloka, where he says that we have to control the senses. So we should follow the Ekadasi days. We should fast on Ekadasi days. We should rise early in the morning. Okay. Then various austerities are given. Why they are given? Because they will train us mind, our mind and body to get control. And slowly then we can focus on the chanting, focus on the reading the scripture. So it's a cycle. So of course, chanting is the basic, chanting is the key. Then you start reading, associate with devotees. Then slowly follow the austerity, follow the four regulative principle. That will help you to do better chanting, better association. That's the whole, that is why these complementary important activities of gaining the knowledge, getting the knowledge about Lord, understanding about the Lord. Okay. And yogena means controlling the mind and body, austerity, basically austerity. Okay. And of course, renunciation, we should be very careful. We should make conscious effort to renounce ourselves, detach ourselves from this data. We should reduce those activities which are not helpful or which are going to be detrimental to your devotional service. So there has to be always some push from our side to do this activity, to develop, to read the scriptures, to develop the detachment. There has to be some commitment from our side. That's the whole purpose. Of course, chanting will take care of it. And then you have to continue chanting and all these ABCDs, A for association, like that. Okay. So we should continue doing that. C for chanting, D for diet means taking prasadam. Okay. B for book reading. So simple formula. Okay. We have to continue doing that. So this is the first sloka. So Lord Kapila says, if you do your bhakti is very important. So our purpose is to get to the bhakti. But Lord Kapila said you have to do bhakti with these other things also. You develop knowledge and do this. Okay. That will definitely, how it will liberate us, how it will get, how it will, come out of, help us in coming out of this material blazing fire. Because slowly we will not be attached to that. Because currently we are attached to these material activities, to mind. Our mind is, most of our problems are in mind. Okay, because we are thinking it's right, this is wrong, this is right, this is bad, this is good, and it keeps happening, and we keep, since we are attached to mind, we keep suffering. It's more of a mind. So once you get detached from activities, detached from slowly from your mind, hallucinations or mind-related trouble, you will not get disturbed. Once you your disturbance reduces, you will be able to focus on the thing. And slowly your mind itself will help you in, getting into the bhakti. So this is very important sloka. So this is one very important, sloka, which we have to practically adopt in our day-to-day life to get into the bhakti. Now I'll go to next sloka quickly. So next sloka translation says the influence of material nature has covered the living entity, and thus it is as if the living entity were always in blazing fire, but the process of seriously discharging devotional service, this influence can be removed, just as wooden sticks which cause fire all themselves consumed by it. One more thing. So let's discuss this part also. But this shloka says very important. The shloka is comparing our soul's position to the matching or the burning matchstick. What is matchstick? Matchstick, we lit the matchstick and it starts burning and it consumes the matchstick. So our soul is currently like that burning matchstick where it is compared. Like what we are burning here now. So we are burning by our own desires, actions, reaction. It's mainly the whole material existence is a burning fire. Samsara davanela. So it's a whole material world is, blazing fire. Whatever it may be. Adidavad, Daivik, Adibhautik, Adhyatmik, Janma, Mrityu, Jaravati. This keeps coming. Okay, these troubles or this, bad things are there. Okay, and we keep constantly fighting this. We are in constant, burning fire. That's how Shloka starts with. And we should understand that knowledge will help us in yes, this material nature. There's so many issues, so many problems. It's not stopping only. Whatever we do, it is sound fire starts. Okay. So it's compared to the, fire in the jungle. Suddenly it starts. Nobody goes and put the matchbox there, but it starts. Similarly, in our material world also, problem starts coming. Suddenly, we don't expect why it comes and it starts. And then it goes and again it comes. So the shloka is very important in the sense it is comparing with our position of matchstick. Matchstick is burning and slowly that matchstick also goes away. So what is matchstick? So that matchstick has got potential to burn, potential to burn, which have got that fuel. The moment it starts, slowly that matchstick also disappears. Similarly, in our, our so-called our current existence also, we have got this material world, and we have got so much, attachments here. So if you take this devotional service, then slowly it's a fire. It will start burning all your material attachments. It will start burning your, subtle body, mind, intelligence, false ego. It will start burning. And burning means what? The cover, which is contamination, gets burned. Like if you make the vessel sterile or you make something sterile. You are burning that, bad thing, contamination, and you are coming to a pure state. So similarly, when you take devotional service, the contamination of material world will disappear slowly, and you will come to the pure stage of your mind, intelligence, ego. So we have got spiritual mind, spiritual intelligence, spiritual ego also. That is a real pure thing. While you have got contaminated mind, contaminated intelligence, contaminated false ego is also there as a cover of it. So we are talking about burning of this subtle contamination, material element, subtle body, mind, intelligence, material. But then when it comes to original position, that is your soul, there you have got pure state of soul, where you have got pure mind, intelligence, and false, real ego, not a false ego. So your transcendental ego. That is your constitutional position, where you understand that your position is servant of Lord. What is the Lord's position? He is supreme. I am his servant. And in that pure state of mind, you can actually connect with Lord. You can have your, a relationship with Lord. You can release the pure loving relation with God. That is the whole, purpose, and that is the whole goal of devotional service. Okay? And chanting actually purifies us. Chanting, mantra, maha means ultimate, final, and mantra means with whom you can, eliminate the mind's influence, or you will control the mind. Mantra. So it will help you to control the mind. It will help you to purify the mind. And slowly, once mind gets purified, detachment, all these things will come. And we should put our efforts also, as explained in earlier sloka, we should also put from our side the conscious effort of controlling the mind, controlling the senses, austerity, develop enunciation, and focus. So when we say contamination, Prabhupada explains in this, in this next shloka, 23rd shloka, what are our two problems? Why we are in material world? Prabhupada explains. What are our two problems? We are saying we are in blazing fire of material world. We are in material world. It's not good, inauspicious. What is that? There are two things Prabhupada explains very clearly. This shloka also explains. These are the two problems with us, and that's why we are in material world. What are those two problems? First thing, we want to lord it over material world. Lord it over material world means we feel we have got control on this material. We want to control this material world for our sense enjoyment. That's our problem. Means we are thinking, I am the controller. We are somehow not accepting authority of God. We are thinking, I am the controller. Things, I am the enjoyer. I am the controller. Okay? And we are trying to do our activities with this mode of thinking. This is called false ego. So we are trying to exploit the material world. We are trying to lord it over material world. Of course, we can live in material world in a very peaceful way, in coordination with Lord. That is devotee. But currently, I'm not talking about us, devotee per se. We have now understood and we are actually following. But I mean, in general, living entity in material world, we are actually trying to exploit the material world. We want to use the material world. We want to use the resources of material world. We want to use, all our people around us for our own benefit, for our own sense enjoyment. That is our disease. And due to this lording our mentality, which is a illusion, which is not going to happen, but we think. But due to that, we are here, and we get into karma. We get into karma, and that karma binds you, and modes comes, and then you are under illusion and you are under bondage. That's why we are here, and we remain attached. That is due to our tendency to lording our mind. Okay. And second part is, another problem is we are thinking, I'm, I want to merge with God. We want to become one with God. That's another tendency, very subtle way. We think that we want to merge with God, or we think that I am like God. These are the many, Mayavadi philosophies come. That's very dangerous philosophy, where they say that we are God. We are God. Well, currently we are suffering. Yes, I understand, but you are actually God. But that's not right. If you are God, how you are suffering, even for one time? We are not God, but we think that way. We want to become one with God. We want to lord our material. We want to have control on material, and we want to become God. These are the two dangerous attitude, or our bad thinking we have developed. Okay, and that is why we are getting into this mess of material existence. Due to this, we remain here. Now, the thing is, basically, if we have to come out of this two thinkings, first of all, we have to surrender to Lord. Because that is why example of matchsticks. So once we surrender to Lord, that is like burning the matchsticks. Then these two tendencies, which are the root cause of our bondage in material world, will get burnt up. It will, the whole matchstick, so-called matchstick, the very nice example, that will get burnt out by surrendering to Lord, by taking up the devotional service. Okay, so just to again refresh the shloka, the influence of material world has covered the living entity. Understood? So the influence of material world means these two problems, two tendencies of living entity, that has covered us, and that's why the whole material world is around us. Okay, where we are trying to perennially fight with material world and perennially try to enjoy the material world, but not successfully. But we are trying to struggle there. That's the whole problem, right? And thus, it is as if the living entities, we are always in blazing fire. It means what? We are in that constant blazing fire of our own desires, and it seems like we don't want to stop it. And it looks like at a time in a very bonded stage, it's very difficult to make ourselves separate from this material world. It's very difficult. It's not easy to separate ourselves from our desires. We feel, oh, I am my desire. We are getting too much merged with our desires that it's very difficult to separate ourselves from desire. That's our position. That's very bad position, very awkward position. But that's how it is. It's very difficult to separate ourselves from our mind. It's difficult to separate ourselves from our body. That is the whole problem. And it's a deep ignorance we have developed, due to which we are not able to separate ourselves from material nature. We think as if everything happening in material nature, in our body, mind, is us. So that inability to distinguish between the material world and you is a problem. Okay, so that's why it is called blazing fire. It's like it's not going to extinguish only. That's the whole indication here. But by a process of seriously discharging devotional service, this influence can be removed. Just as wooden sticks example, right? So devotional service is so strong. Lord's name, transcendental name. Lord's name is non-different from Lord. It is equally potent. In fact, sometimes it is said it's more potent than Lord's name. So that can help us. That's the only way left. We cannot get too much into only into dry and speculative knowledge. We cannot do only austerities. No. If you develop the knowledge of bhakti and adopt it and take up this harinam, get attached to Lord, then it is possible to get detached from this material world, and we can distinguish ourselves from so-called material existence. We can see practically all our devotees here. They would have been experiencing by this time. Once, if you are chanting, of course we are chanting, but as we keep improving our quality of chanting, we can understand, oh, this is mine, it's not me. Oh, this is bodily need, it's not. So we can slowly get into this distinguishing understanding that yes, I am not this body. And that is, and then then you start getting attached to Lord's, his activities, his duties, his pastime, and automatically the detachment becomes easy from the material world. Okay, so that is how devotional service can make us free from this perennial blazing fire. And not only that, these tendencies which are the cause of this fire will also get burned down, because we are addressing the root cause at a very fundamental level. So for example, our desire is to, material desire is to lord or material, this is our disease. So to remove disease or to remove, say, there is a good example in Bhagavatam also, at many places. Prahlad Maharaj discussed that. I don't remember, but yeah, I think Prahlad Maharaj discussed that. What is the best way of coming out of this? So it is explained there that we have to remove the seeds of this, fruitive activities or seeds of this enjoying material nature. The seeds has to be removed. What happens if we don't remove the seed? Even though cut the grass, unwanted grass, weeds, they will again grow. And again, all this, again you will cut the grass again, because weeds or seeds are not removed. And that's why but if you remove the completely weeds, seed of that weeds from the, or you burn it, it will never come. So the whole final solution for all this is basically, we have to remove the seed of our material, our tendency of material enjoyment, tendency to lord our material nature, tendency to exploit the material nature, tendency to calling ourselves as a God. This is the seed. The whole problem starts with this. Now, once we remove this, how it will be removed? By surrendering ourselves, because that's the whole simple thing. That's the whole, under influence of ego, we are developing all these tendencies. But if you surrender to ourselves, means surrender to our ego, surrender to our mind, surrender to our whole activities, to Lord, then automatically these seeds of this, unwanted thing are removed. And there's a clear-cut removal of all this material existence. And we are situated on the transcendental platform. So this is how the things are working. We should understand. This is all knowledge. If you understand this knowledge, obviously you will be more enlightened while chanting. Oh yes, this is what I have to do. I have to surrender to Lord. I have to reduce my attachment. So all these processes, again, just to summarize what we have seen these two shlokas is, our problems, why we are in material world, we are explained, due to lording our material nature tendency, and we are thinking we are God. These are the two problems. That's why we are here. And we cannot come out of this till we surrender to Lord, adopt the devotional service, and this has to be supported. This has to be complemented by yogena, controlling the mind, austerity, tapasya, developing the knowledge, and detachment. Then these things will be fast, and we'll be able to really progress fast in the bhakti and attain our final destination. That's the whole summary of these two shlokas. So I think I'll stop here in interest of time. We started late little bit, but I think we can take some question answers, suggestions, comments, and then we can continue further. Hare Krishna. I think Prabhuji also has joined. Vidura Prabhuji also has joined. I will request him also to add or comment or correct anything further, and then we can get into question answer. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu. Sorry, I had another class, so I joined only last 10-12 minutes. From whatever I've heard in the 10-12 minutes, it was all very nice, Prabhu. Nothing specific to add.
Okay, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Thanks. Hare.
So the
So
first
any
verse,
question?
Hare
Yes,
Krishna,
Prabhu.
Prabhu. Thanks for the wonderful, the nectarian. The flow was very wonderful. Whatever you have told, about the first sloka, as well as the second sloka. The ultimate is strongly holding, the bhakti process and getting into this, come out of these three gunas. Otherwise, it's highly, this so-called modern world is very hectic to practice all this. But even though this is Satya, there is no other alternate.
Yes.
Wonderful, bro. Thanks for very nice narration. Correct.
Hare Krishna. Thanks, Prabhu. Thanks. Today it was reshuffled from Thursday to Wednesday. So, but Prabhuji, there was some devotee wanted to reshuffle. Anyway.
Okay.
Yes.
So I think this one will relate to that Cheto Darpana Martanam Bhava Mohan Dava Nirvago.
Yes.
So the holy name only can burn everything from the seed, what you are mentioning.
Yes.
Right? It can burn everything.
Yes.
Of that in Nectar of Devotion, there are the 6 levels in which the karma, they are like, it is a seed, it is slightly sprouting, then, various stages before it actually gives you the fruit. But the holy name can remove everything which is in different stages, all our karmic reactions which are waiting, which are about to give result, which are just planted, everything will get burnt in the backward direction. So that means what we did first now will get removed. Means latest what we did will get removed, like that it will keep on removing everything till the one which is having the ultimate, which is about to give the fruit. So very nice. Thank you.
Thanks, Prabhuji. Yes, Prabhuji. That's true. Hare Krishna. Yes. So any questions, comments further? Okay, I think if there are no questions, I think anyway we have overshoot by some beyond 9 o'clock. So I think we'll close the session, and I'd like to thank all the devotees to spare the time in the morning, and let's chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare. Grantara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Jai Sri Prabhupada ki jai. Thanks for your presence. Hare Krishna. I think we can log off now.